Rambo's history with video games has been spotty at best. He's been featured in several garbage games and some that were pretty decent. Generally speaking, movie to video game translations often fail to capture the essence of the film the game is based on. But in this episode of the Big Retro Show, I talk about one of the most hated Rambo games in existence and why it doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. The 80s and 90s were great times to be a kid. Join me as I dive into the world of movies, music, video games and toys, and explore what made these decades so great. This is the Big Retro Show. The life of Rambo isn't an easy one. He has a lot to answer for at the pearly gates. But one thing he won't have to answer for is Rambo the Video Game on the PS3, the PC, and the Xbox 360. Sure, Rambo games have been hit or miss since the original First Blood movie debuted in 1982, but some of them were good, and some of them were extremely mediocre.
I'm here today to talk to you about a man who killed dozens. John Rambo. And it's good that he's dead.
So what category does Rambo the Video Game fall in? Well, the video game journalists and those who believe every word they say will have you believing that Rambo the Video Game is the worst game that they have ever played. PlayStation Magazine in the UK gave the game a score of 2, with the reviewer saying, "It only avoids the worst score I can give by virtue of the fact that it just about functions. Rambo inspires more anger than biting your tongue just after you've stubbed your toe." Game Informer was slightly kinder to Rambo the Video Game, giving it a rating of 4 and urging gamers to do yourself a favor by watching the movies again in lieu of playing this game. Wrong. These two reviews are both wrong, and I'm glad that I didn't listen to them and play the game for my own damn self. You guys remember what rail shooters are, right? They are basically games in which gamers' control is limited to shooting things with a gun, controller, or mouse, and letting the game guide you along the path. Some notable rail shooters include Panzer Dragoon and the House of the Dead series. Not saying that Rambo the Video Game is on par with these two games, but for some reason people hate on the game merely because of the type of game it is. It's not a first-person shooter, and it doesn't try to be. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about why this game is good. First off, what's not to love about playing in some of the most iconic scenes in movie history? As John Rambo, you get to play through the events of the first 3 Rambo movies, my personal favorite being Rambo First Blood Part 2. The game starts you off in a Viet Cong POW camp where you and your comrades make a dashing escape. It's a great touch of lore that allows you to experience what it was like for Rambo in Vietnam. Prior to this, the only way of knowing how bad it was for Rambo and the viciousness he had to employ to make it out were flashback scenes in the films. From the jungles of Vietnam, you travel to the podunk town of Hope, Washington, where you are harassed for having long hair, combat boots, and an army jacket. In this portion of the game, you are challenged to spare the lives of the sheriffs who are hunting you. It's not always easy to spare their lives, but it adds a bit of skill element to the game. Aside from its point and shoot mechanics, the game also features several QuickTime events. I know, QuickTime events suck, but the game's QuickTime events are really not that difficult on the game's easiest setting, which is what I played it on. The video game mirrors the movie, and it's a joy to be able to lay waste to the police station and hunt the police in the woods. Reloading in the game is accomplished much like in the Gears of War games. You must press a button to reload and press it again when the wheels land on the perfect reload. When you gain a perfect reload, you earn more ammo to kill enemies with. If you miss the perfect reload and get a normal one, you get the normal amount of ammo, and if you miss the normal window, your gun jams and it takes forever to reload. You also get less ammo. Each weapon has their own perfect reload window, and it can be quite challenging learning each of the gun's perfect reloads. After taking it easy on the Sheriffs of Hope, you move on to the next game in the Rambo series, and in my opinion, the best, Rambo First Blood Part 2. In this part of the game, you are finally able to be the Rambo you were always meant to be, and kill indiscriminately and with extreme malice. Good times. You also get to use the bow and arrow and take your enemies out, which is a welcome change in the gunplay. Once again, the settings and scenes of the game follow closely the events of the movie, and once again I was swept up in the moment. Now, I know what you're thinking. The only reason I like this game is because I love the movies, and I will have to say that you are absolutely right. I absolutely love the movies, and I'm looking at this game with full-on nostalgia goggles. But you know what? That's okay. I love what I love, and I will never apologize for it. That being said, there were some janky parts of the game that I didn't enjoy. Aside from Rambo, played by Sylvester Stallone, and Colonel Troutman, played by the great Richard Crenna, you will find no other actors that appeared in the movie.
Go on! Go on, you crazy bastard! Kill me!
I did not like this. If you are going to use a license, use a damn license. I imagine that the game developers chose this route to avoid paying the real actors for use of their likeness. The other big problem with the game that I found was nothing. The game media is just being edgy, and I would say that the game doesn't have anything else wrong with it that's a deal breaker. But just to be fair, the journals like to say that the game is hard to control with the analog sticks. But the game, at least on the PS3 version, supports Move. There you go. You can also play the game on PC with a mouse, which is slightly better than the analog sticks, but to tell you the truth, I didn't find the game's controls to be overly difficult. Another criticism of the game that I heard was its difficulty, but I played the game on easy mode for the purpose of this review, and I didn't find it too difficult at all. In fact, I beat it in 2 days playing off and on. In the game's easy mode, you get unlimited continues, and the QuickTime events are not as punishing as they are in the other modes. So my advice is to play the game in easy mode to get the maximum enjoyment out of it. The game wraps up with Rambo 3, which is not my favorite film in the series. Although I do have a fond memory of my older brother taking me to the film back in the day, and we had a blast with it. I think it's now time to talk about the cover system. You will be using the cover system quite a bit, but sometimes your enemies will be able to shoot while you are in cover, which is one of the reasons that the game's critics hated the game. But I think it adds a sense of realism to the game because after all, hiding behind a rock when you are surrounded is sure to leave you open for attack given the number of enemies on the screen. The events of the third movie are once again expertly played out in this game. By the time you reach Rambo 3, you are decently powered up with perks and stats. The game allows you to level up and earn stats that will boost your health, boost your Wrath mode, which grants you temporary bullet time, the ability to see weak points, and gain health when you kill enemies, and the damage you inflict with weapons. The perks involved allow you to do everything from gain more ammo from headshots and prolong your Wrath mode. So there you have it. Rambo the Video Game is a totally playable game and one that does not deserve the hate it receives. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are of this game and if you played it, and if you will leave the reviews before actually playing the game. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to The Big Retro Show, and give the video a thumbs up. And until the next one, I will see you next time on The Big Retro Show.